Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you something really powerful, an automation built in n8n that, combined with a custom web interface, can generate and publish complete blog posts directly to a WordPress site. What makes this setup different is the user-friendly web interface, and the best part? You can download both the automation and the interface from my school community. But here's where it gets interesting. This automation suggests 10 blog post ideas based on a keyword or topic. You can easily add images, links, and even edit the text manually if needed. It also generates a thumbnail image for you. When you're ready, you can publish the post on your WordPress site, and with just one click, share it across 6 different social networks. And remember, you can sell this setup to clients. Host the automation on your n8n server. Charge them monthly and let them handle their own content with ease. Now, let me show you how it all works. When you download from my school community, you will get the following files: the automation for n8n, the web interface. This one you can sell to your clients. A PHP file for an API endpoint. This needs to be installed on your server, and it will convert PNG files to JPG files. First, I have to open the web interface. As you can see, it runs locally. You only need to be connected to the internet, and inside the code, you need to change it to your webhook. The line of code is on line 210, and it looks like this. You can get this webhook from the automation in the first node. Just make sure to use the production URL, not the test URL. First, I'll start by inserting a topic. In my case, it will be n8n versus make.com for small businesses. And then I will click on Generate Ideas. In a few seconds, you will be prompted with 10 different ideas for your blog. I will choose one, this one in my case. If you don't like any of them, you can always change the topic and click on Generate Ideas again. Immediately, you will see that you can change the tone of the blog post, adjust the audience, and set the length of the blog post. The length is always approximate, and if you want to keep this value close to real, you have to choose a more powerful LLM. In my case, I will use GPT-4o Mini because it is very cheap, and for this demonstration, it is enough. Below, you can see that I have 2 reference links, 1 and 2, and 2 context image URLs. 1 and 2. Here, you can insert a link, maybe for another blog post, your product, or an affiliate product. And below, you can include 2 images which will link to the links from above. In this way, your blog post will be written naturally, and it won't look like it was generated by AI. As you can see, I will use some of my own products, which I am selling on my shop. I will copy some products from my shop and some images also from these products. These images will blend nicely into the blog post. After I am ready and I choose the tone, audience, and length, I will click on Generate Post Content. Then, as you can see, it will take maybe 20 or 30 seconds until the blog post is generated. You will also get the blog post title, the meta description, and a few keywords. Of course, you can change the prompt from this node and experiment with different LLM versions, because some of them give different results, especially when it comes to the length of the blog post. When you ask for a blog post with 1,000 words, sometimes it gives you the exact length, and other times it gives you half. So it's very important at this step what version you use as your LLM. You can see that you have a button called Suggest Image from Article. When I click on this button, the automation will take the blog post and generate a prompt for an image. Right now, you can generate with the old DALL-E, but in a few weeks, you will be able to use the new improved version, which will generate some awesome results. As you can see, we have an image prompt, which you can edit manually if needed. You can also choose the style, resolution, and mood of the image. Then, you can click on Generate Thumbnail. The image generation process usually takes around 20 to 30 seconds. During this time, the automation is processing the prompt and generating a high-quality image based on the style, resolution, and mood you've selected. If you're not satisfied with the result, you can regenerate the image as many times as you want until you achieve the perfect thumbnail or illustration for your blog post. Each time you regenerate, you'll need to wait another 20 to 30 seconds for the new image to be processed and generated. While it may seem like a bit of a wait, the results are usually good, especially when you fine-tune the prompt or adjust the style and mood settings. And remember, when the new version of GPT-4.0 becomes available, the quality of these generations will likely improve significantly, giving you even better results faster. Okay, when you are happy with the image, please click on the yellow button labeled Set as Thumbnail. As you can see, the thumbnail will attach to the post and it will be ready to be published. Now, let me show you a blog of mine. First, I will show you my media library. I will refresh the page so you can see that this image is not there. I will also refresh the blog itself. Right now, it's filled with a lot of tests I made over the last few days while building this automation. To be honest, it took me a lot of time to create this web interface, and everything was built using Claude and Google Gemini. Now I will return to my interface and click on Publish Post. After a few seconds, I will refresh the page on my media library. And as you can see, the image is there. But what's even more important is that if you click on the image and look on the right side, you will see that it has all the metadata filled in: the alternative text, title, caption, and description. This is a goldmine because it's excellent for search engine optimization. Having properly filled metadata helps your images rank better and makes your blog posts more discoverable. Now, if I refresh the page on the blog, you will see that the blog post is there. As you can see, the thumbnail is placed at the top, giving the post a professional appearance. You also have a table of contents, and if you click on any link, it will jump to the specified section of the article. Additionally, the images you included in the post are properly displayed and linked to the reference links you added earlier. One important thing to note is that you can always change the prompt in the automation, and each time you will get a different result. This flexibility allows you to continuously improve your content and make it unique. Now, the post is published. The webhook used in this automation will return the published URL, so it's a good idea to test it and make sure everything works properly. Also, in this tab, you have two options. One, share on social media using these links from Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Two, use the Blautedo API directly in the automation. When you click a single button, it will post to 6 different social networks, which I will show you later in the video. If you're using the Blautedo API and working with clients, there's something very important to remember. If you want to post on their social networks on their behalf, you only need to ask them to create an account and provide you with their account IDs. This way, you don't have direct access to their social networks, which makes everything more secure for them. I've sold a lot of automations for blog posts, and this has always been a main concern. Getting access to clients' social networks can be complicated and risky. On Blautedo, it's very simple. They just log in using their credentials, and then they get an account ID. This account ID is then placed in the automation, specifically in the Set ID node. And that concludes the demo part of this video. Now let me show you a bit about how the automation is made. It took me around 40 different prompts or changes to create the interface. Everything was made by asking and receiving code, which I always saved as HTML and ran directly. Believe it or not, I did not edit a single line of code. But in this case, the entire interface was made purely by Claude and Google Gemini. Since this HTML file has around 500 lines, it worked much better when I used Google Gemini. Whenever there was an error, I simply asked Google Gemini to give me the entire code again. For this interface, I think I used around 300,000 tokens out of the 1 million token window available on Google Gemini Pro 2.5. Now, let me show you a little bit about how this automation was made. I won't go into too much detail because I've noticed that a lot of you don't stick around for the full tutorial. You only want to see the results and then move on. So, to keep things shorter, I'll focus on the important parts. The end of the automation, where I post on the social networks, is already explained very well in this tutorial. How I automated all my social media posts with n8n and Blotato. And the part where I post on WordPress is covered in my previous tutorial titled How I Built an Automation that Runs My Blog and Promotes It While I Sleep. I highly recommend you watch that video because it explains in detail this automation. Now, what I want to show you is the top of the automation. It starts with a webhook. Make sure you're using the production URL. And in the respond field, you need to switch to respond to webhook node. After that, I have a switch node. The switch contains 6 different rules. Basically, when I click on a button, for example, the first one, Generate Idea, the automation receives a code. If the code matches a predefined rule, it follows that specific route. So, let's say you start by going to the interface and clicking on Generate Ideas. The automation will begin by sending the topic or keyword to the webhook. From there, the webhook sends the request through the switch node to the OpenAI node. Here, I have a very simple prompt. What's important is to ask OpenAI to provide the output in JSON format. Also, make sure you check the output content as JSON. From this node, it continues to the Respond to Webhook node, which has some basic settings. When you request 10 ideas for your blog, the automation follows this route and returns them to you in JSON format. When I created the web interface, I asked Google Gemini to build something exactly like this. I also asked what I should place in the switch node, and it gave me all the routing rules. Generate ideas, generate post content, generate image prompt, and so on. My prompt from the start was very advanced. I knew what I wanted to achieve, and Google Gemini provided me with a solid starting point. I told it that I wanted to use a webhook, and that when I clicked a button, it should return the result on the same page, based on my routing rules. If I click on Generate Ideas, it returns the ideas. If I click on Generate Post Content, it returns the full content. It's very smart if you know what you have to ask. Now, let's go to the second route. When I click on Generate Blog Post, the button sends the data to the webhook. From there, it goes to the switch node and chooses the second route. This route is specifically designed to take the topic, tone, audience, and length parameters you've selected and pass them to the OpenAI node. The OpenAI node processes this request with a prompt that generates a complete blog post, including the blog post, content itself, a title, a meta description, relevant keywords. Again, it's important to ask OpenAI to provide the output in JSON format. This makes it easier to parse and display the content correctly on your web interface. Here, please check my prompt. It is very detailed, and it took me a while to write it. Again, I recommend you pause the video for a moment to see the structure and settings I configured in this node. The next node is a set node. Here, I have to manually map some of the content I received from the previous node. This step is very important because the automation needs to know how to display the content correctly back on the page. In this set node, the automation formats and maps the post content in HTML format, the meta description, the tags. Now, let's move to the third route, where I generate the image prompt. When I click on the gray button, it takes the blog post, goes through the switch, following the third route, and then arrives at the OpenAI node. In this node, I have a prompt specifically designed to generate a simple image prompt. If you download this automation and the web interface, I highly recommend you to change the prompts here. I'm sure you can do better than me and fine-tune it to suit your specific needs. Also, keep in mind that in this node, you must ask for the output to be in JSON format. This ensures the automation parses the response properly. Again, in the next node, I will manually map the result. The fourth route is where I generate the image. When I click on the green button Generate Image, it is transferred to the webhook. Then, through the switch node, it follows the fourth route and arrives at the Generate Image node from OpenAI. Right now, it uses DALL-E 3, which, in my opinion, is not very good. But if you wait a few weeks, the new image generation model will be available as an API, and you will be able to change the model here in this node. Please also check my image prompt As you can see, I am sending via the green button, the style, mood, and image size. What is very important here is that you need to add an option to receive the image in a URL format. Only by doing this can you return the image back to the web interface. Again, I will use a set node field and apply the necessary settings. Now, for the fifth step, when I hit Publish, it will follow the Publish route. In the first node, I have an Edit field, where I place only my blog URL. If you want to use this automation for your clients, you need to edit this field accordingly. The next node is a Download Image node. It will download the image from the previous URL, the one generated by OpenAI. After that, I will use another HTTP request node to upload the media to WordPress. Here are the settings, but I won't go into detail because I've already explained them in my other tutorial. Next, I will set the image metadata. Here are my settings. You need to map the values for the title, slug, and other metadata. Then, I will use the WordPress Create Post node. I will quickly show my settings, but I won't go into detail because it's already covered in my previous tutorial. After that, I will use another HTTP request node to write the excerpt for the blog post. Then I will use another one to set the featured image. Again, pause the video to check my settings. Once the post is published, I need to retrieve the final URL and display it on the web interface. To do this, I will use a set node and apply the appropriate JSON structure. The automation will return the result via the webhook, making it available for the next steps. Then, on the last route, where I share the link using Blotato's API, we have to set the IDs. Again, I recommend you to check my other video because it's more detailed there. I'll leave a link in the description to create an account on Blotato. It's an affiliate link, and I thank you in advance if you use my link. Here, you need to set the IDs for each of your social networks. Also, on the first row, you have to add your Blotato API key. You will find these values in your Blotato account. The next node is also an HTTP request. For this node, I created a special PHP script. This script will be available in the community as well. What it does is take the PNG image received from OpenAI and convert it to JPEG. If you visit this link, you will see the settings you need to use. Using this script will save you some money if you don't want to spend on another conversion tool. I wanted to do this inside n8n, but I couldn't find a good way to convert from PNG to JPEG, so I created a special API endpoint. Please also check the settings for my HTTP request node. If you want to use another service, or if you know a better one, you can do that, of course. The next node is another HTTP request. We upload the JPEG file to the Blotato server. Here are the settings. Basically, it will take the URL and post it to Blotato's server, making it available for the next step. Now, I will show you only the Instagram posting process because if you want to see how it works for all the other social networks, please check my previous tutorial. The settings are very simple. You need to enable send body and use the following JSON format. And of course, you need to take the values from the previous steps. I really hope this automation interface will make you some money because I know a lot of you have AI agencies and clients in this space, and everybody needs content. But for those clients who want to write their blog posts themselves, you can offer them the web interface and charge them monthly. They have the interface, and you will have the automation. When they stop paying, you can disable the automation. I really hope you liked this tutorial, and I'm sorry I couldn't explain all the steps of the web interface creation, but honestly, you can simply ask Claude, OpenAI, or Google Gemini. In my case, I used Google Gemini 2.5 Pro, and it took me a few good hours to create the web interface and make it work, but I never wrote a single line of code. What was frustrating is that the waiting time for Google Gemini to write the code is around 300 seconds. I had more than 40 variations of the script, and the wait time was very long. If you like this tutorial, I really hope you will join the community. I'm 100% sure you will find a lot of value there. And if you don't want to join, A like is always enough. See you soon in the next tutorial. I have a really awesome one coming up.